look really good.
Hi there, dear, beautiful, precious spirit soul that you are. It's wonderful being able to be here with you. My topic, here's a big one. Whatever and whoever you identify with, you take on those qualities, whether they're true or not. This is an ability that we have. And what happens in the programming process, and you take a look at how in this culture now, people are so programmed through media, through television, movies, sounds, words, stories, threats, whatever's told to them on what they're watching, what they're listening to, who they're listening to, what they're reading, what they're believing and taking on. And what happens is most people out there have been brought up in an educational system that really has nothing to do with bringing forth your great self of who you are. It's about lining up. It's about being all programmed good little robots doing what they're told to do and believing that they were born, they will die, believing they have to compete, believing they're not good enough and they want to be good enough. You know, all of these that when we do, then worrying all the time and afraid and having to manipulate, having to have more than somebody else and lording it over somebody. I mean, it's all of this craziness that goes on, and it goes on in the mind. And who you are is not a mind. You are a divine being. That what we call the mind is like an overlay. It is a control system that probably comes through us through basically the reptilian brain. They say that is part of our system of the physical body. I don't know that's really true or not, because we're told by others. But we're not locked down in a system of control unless we have given our will and our power over to someone or something else other than who we are. And when we know who we are, the source that we are part of, all of us, is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present. And it is not just an impersonal force. It's because we are eternal persons. And I know because I have tremendous memory, and I've done so much work on my own consciousness. And what happens is, when we give our power to anyone else or anything else outside of our own knowing, the problem is we build a consciousness made of information that we have been taught to believe is true. So you say the educational system. And then that is governed by certain people, and then everybody is put into a corral, you might say, a hive of collected individuals who have the same belief system. That's why you see so many of our the people who are what we would call younger in the world are in educational systems that do not empower them to be who they really are, but is developed to control their divine power, so that their collective divine power is focused not on their own power, divine powers and abilities, but always focused on the hive mentality. Everybody going in the same direction all the time that does not serve you or anybody else to the greatness of your own being. And so in my talk, whatever you identify with, you take on. And you have to look at what have you been programmed and taught to identify with. And that means that people are looking always, where's my identity? Who am I really? Or what am I? And instead, and the real benefit of sacred knowledge or spiritual knowledge, and that's why I like the knowledge of the Vedas, as well as what I've studied of the Essenes, and Jesus was an Essene. And as the and if you read the Essene Gospel of Peace, that's a study that was done in the Vatican, basically, that had ancient teachings of who we really are, and in this the Essene reality, and also metaphysics, because metaphysics can also teach us what is beyond the physical, but that is who we are, but how the physical then comes into being. And when you study then all of these different philosophies and the teachings, you begin to find what are the common thread here. Who are we, and what is possible for each and every one of us. And that key is self-liberation. That is that commitment you have to you, to your own divine being, to your source, to your beloved partner, the divine. And when you do that, to give yourself the fullness of who you really are, in absolute magnificence of your divine self. Artificial intelligence, AI, is always artificial. It's an overlay. It is not real divine intelligence, because it's then made of, artificial intelligence is made of words, definitions, rules. You have like the Oxford Dictionary that is telling us the meaning of the words, and words are there to use to justify words, so it's a never-ending kind of a locked-in system, all dependent on prefixes and suffixes and all of this, and it keeps growing in the sense of that expanded information level that keeps people in formation. It keeps them in form to be going all in the same direction, the same awareness, the same rules, the same language, whether it's whatever language it's in, it's still the same. It's self-limiting and self-terrorizing. This. Why? Because you're so powerful. And that when, and what I was going to say here, I want to get back to this. When you identify yourself as this limitation, you limit yourself. And you have to look at, what do you identify with? What is your identity, your ID? And the key is to know you are a divine being. And when you know you are an eternal divine being, because that is who you are, then what you do is you trust your inner knowing. You do not trust the mind, because the mind is full of concepts. That's what we've been taught. That's what we've been programmed to go along, to get along. That everybody has the same mindset. So you got people watching the same television shows, watching the same news. I remember someone who was so pleased. They had done some miracle course of some kind, and just believed the whole thing, you know. And in fact, I studied it for a little bit, and it's just all lies. It's a way to limit you and put us into a box of limitation. And if you really have love for yourself and love for others, you need to be free of lack and limitation, which are mental concepts. And when you accept a mental concept of yourself, you're going to act that out. You're going to play it out. You're going to play the role. And so it's just like when you can listen to conversations that people have out in the public somehow, that they all talk the same way. They think the same way. They act the same way. Their beliefs are the same way, because that through the media, through the television, through the movies, through the music, and a lot of it isn't music anymore. It's a programming device to keep people in fear, in anxiety, in not good enough, of always struggling to be accepted, to be good enough, to be great, to be all of this when you already are. And to take back your powers that's real self-love, is to take back your powers that we have given to others. And when we give all of our own creative powers to someone else, then we make them able and ourselves we disable. And that this whole striving to be good enough in the minds of others, or to have enough, and all of this, that people then are programmed through all of the media, music, television, movies, their phones. There is a constant way of information, keeping people in line, keeping people in a form, keeping people within boundaries, because you're so powerful. And when you dare to be who you are, and you dare to invest in your consciousness, you see, then what happens is those powers that were already yours of manifestation are returned to you. So others are not manifesting your reality through fear, through self-doubt, through insecurity, through belief systems, through movies, through songs, through the news. And you start to watch how the information technology being at us in every single way, that very few people are unique individuals. And that's not even a good word. Eunuch is unique. We're not eunuchs. But that you understand language, and how language is languishing people within a system of thinking and of words and definitions, phonetians, and all of this to keep everybody in line, being used as fodder for war, crime, violence, sickness, death, and all of this that is an delusion. It is because you are an eternal being, because all power is within you. And wherever you put that energy, this consciousness, and I been working on for myself and helping others also, because that's what I do, is to look at where those concepts that I've been holding on to are and being programmed to us and through the mind is keeping everybody who does it in a state of anxiety, nervousness, fear. What's going to happen to me? Are you going to like me, dislike me? Do I get the job? Don't. Will I have money? Won't I have? Always in this thing of being continually agitated. So taking their medicines, taking their drugs, doing, all of this, manipulating, controlling, and all of this to maintain a false reality of birth and death. And when you get who you are as an eternal being and liberate yourself, you see, from the lack and the limitation, you prosper. You prosper in the way of the heart and the way of the soul, the way of the self, the way of your being. So that means that it's up to you to know and be who you are, and to eliminate and let go of everything that is a distraction that's been taking you away and causing fear and terror within your heart, and always looking at the thing of not good enough, not having enough, not being enough, not enough time, not enough love, not enough sex, not enough food, not enough sugar. I mean, it just goes on, and the mind is relentless. So when you actually have soul satisfaction, you eat the right food, you have the right stuff that goes in the body and in the consciousness and in the environment. Your work is to protect your consciousness and also to bring forth the magnificence of your own being through your work, through your ideas, through your relationships, through your creativity, through what you do. And the first thing is you want to completely always support yourself in truth. And that's why I make these videos free to people anywhere and anywhere out there to know and be who they are. My book, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business, is excellent. You can get that. Live Your Bliss. Dare to Be Great. I have 6 or 7. I have a bunch of them. Anyway, because it's all for you. And when you accept that's all you have to do, is to take back your powers from where you've been giving them everywhere, defeating yourself and limiting you, when it's perfectly right for you to own and be fully who you are as a divine being with all divine abilities and powers and such, which is far beyond AI, artificial intelligence, that's use IT, information technology, which keeps people in formation to follow in a certain track, to be a certain person that they can depend on. And you find what happens with certain, what would you call it, control structures, is to basically eliminate and get rid of the knowledge and the information, not the information, the knowledge of who you really are. Because when you know who you really are, you're not a follower. You are a divine being in the fullness and the beauty of who you truly are. And when you have that, you have everything. So breathe into your heart right now. Almost fell off the place. Caught myself. Breathe into who you are and know that all is possible to you right now. Woohoo!
Still going. That's good. You want to sing a little?
No, I don't want to sing it. I don't feel like singing. I don't feel like singing. How come there are no fish in here?